Hi everybody. In this presentation I'm going to talk about the role of port cities in efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emission from shipping. This is a very important topic for the city port, especially for the city port of Italy and for the city port located in Euro-Mediterranean areas, where the ports actually are located inside the cities. Well, let's start saying that ports generate heavy traffic and congestion with associated health impacts for local residents. And when we talk about local residents, we are talking about citizenship, of course, but also port workers. And the ship emissions are often one of the major sources of urban pollution, especially in the port area, but also in the city. We know that most of these emissions are emitted at sea, but still noticeable portion of shipping emission take place in port areas. That is because even where ships are on docks, keep the engines running. And the city of Livorno, it's a very important city port. The port of Livorno in Italy is a multi-purpose port, and the city is deeply interested by ship emission, especially cruise and ferry. That's because the city is really close to the port, and so we have this kind of problem. Actually, we know that since 1990, climate change has risen on the agenda of urban government, and low carbon city, its model of city, it's actually a sustainable urbanization approach that focuses on minimizing or abolishing the utilization of energy sourced from fossil fuels. In this framework, it is very important also the efforts that port city made in order to reduce urban pollution generated by shipping. Actually, we have to think about how cities and ports can collaborate together to develop a common strategy to reducing urban pollution derived by port activities. That is a very important point, and we are going to start with this. The second question is, why do ports have to take into account city communities in their environmental strategies? And finally, I'm going to talk about a case study of in this field, that is the case of Livorno and the advanced node of Livorno and the Livorno Blue Agreement. Actually, let's start with this question. Why do ports have to take into account city communities and their environmental strategies? This is a very important question, and this is a very important research focus actually in the field of city port, because in the last years we had a kind of evolution in the port concept, and today we know that the competitiveness and also sustainability of ports is not only determined by operational features, but depends on the proper integration between three dimensions: the operational one, the spatial one, and the societal one. And the societal dimension addresses ecosystem and human factors. And talking about ecosystem, seaport, we have to consider that seaport is a part of wider coast ecosystem, where it has a variety of environmental interaction with the outside. So the port have to keep in mind this in their management and their strategies. Another point that is integrated with the evolution of the port concept is the license to operate of ports, because in the last year the erosion of public support as recognized as an issue that needs attention from the port management, embraces embracing cohabitation, dialogue with city and local communities. In this framework, city and ports can establish a new relation and exercises their potential for addressing environmental externalities. Another important factor is the evolution of city-port relationship. Today, the city-port relationship experiences a new dynamism driven on the both sides by the aspiration to improve port competitiveness, while at the same time making the most of the potential as a stimulus for city life and regeneration. So it's important to balancing the environmental impact of port to the city. That is a challenging task for both cities and ports management. Well, what's happening in Livorno? Livorno is a case study on this field because the city of Livorno, with the new Council for Port and City-Port Relations, launched a new cooperative working framework, such as open governance processes focused on improving city-port relations in different fields. And the Advanced Node of Livorno is a project developed and coordinated by the municipality of Livorno in association with the International Scientific Association RETE, that is an association for the collaboration between cities and port. Actually, the Advanced Node, it's a model of a relation between port and city. And the Advanced Node of Livorno is an operational center focused on city-port relations improvement in different fields, and especially in the environmental one. The Advanced Node of Livorno actually opened a work table focused on reducing urban pollutions derived by the port activities. And the people engaged are, of course, the city and the port communities like port authorities and maritime cluster and port cluster, and also research institute and universities. The aim of this table is to encourage city-port collaboration on managing and avoiding negative environmental externalities pollution. But also to explore the best practice and current solutions realized by other ports and cities in Europe in order to reduce the pollution generated by ships and port operations, such like the use of environmentally friendly technologies and propulsion, low-emission electric power supplies at berth, LNG, and so on. And also to analyze potential environmental financial incentive and discount to push shipping companies toward more environmentally friendly technology and propulsion. And this is another very important point. Actually, one of the goal of this table was the signing of the Livorno Blue Agreement. The Livorno Blue Agreement is a voluntary agreement signed by the municipality of Livorno, the Coast Guard Office of Livorno, and the shipping companies, which have a regular lines in the Port of Livorno, a regular line in the Port of Livorno. And it's a voluntary agreement focused on minimizing the effect caused by ships in ports. It is considered appropriate to adopt some best practice in order to reduce atmospheric emission by those ships frequently berthing to Livorno port, especially during the period of stay of ship in port, dockside, berthing, and berthing, to protect the health of citizens and workers. Thanks to this voluntary local agreement, the parties introduces some more severe best practice than the provision established by the current international, European, and national legislation. So the Livorno Blue Agreement is something more related with the international, European, national legislation. And some of these best practices are use main and auxiliary engines at the best rate, speed, and power for an optimal combustion, and so on. So there are like the technical arrangement that are focused and are focused on reducing urban pollution. Today, the Livorno Blue Agreement has been renewed, and because it was signed in 2020. And today, this agreement has been reviewed with the introduction of a new partner, that is the Port Network Authority on North Iranian Sea. And this is a very important point, because the agreement actually gained more attention from the citizenship. And so now also the Port Authority decided to sign it. And that's why I think that is a really best case, because it was a way to improve port and city relation in the environmental field, and is a start, not a end, but I think it's a good experience to talk about. Thank you very much for your attention.